Alrighty, we're pleased to have on today from Ridgeway, Ontario. He's an absolute stick and a legend in golf. He's in the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame. Overall, we're thrilled to have him on today. He's, like I said, I'll say it 500 times today. We said in the pre-show already, he's a legend. Dave Bunker.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. This is great.
Absolutely. And thanks to Torrie for setting this up too. He said he played with you twice and you were shaking in your boots. So we're happy to have you on.
Have you gotten over that yet?
Yeah, I've gotten over it. I actually, when you sent me the text, I went back to look at the scores.
Yeah, I shot
from when
like
I played with
95,
you.
97 MC.
You had the bogey train going for a while the one day, so
You think?
that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Dave, first thing, I want to know like what's new with you, what's happening, what's going on in your world here.
Recently retired 2 years ago, retired from school teaching. We moved away from the GTA Toronto area, and we now live in Ridgeway, which is a small community right across basically the river from Buffalo, so not too far from Niagara Falls. And playing golf here at Cherry Hill. And now that I'm a senior, playing more senior events than I do mid-am and amateur, but I'm still trying to play as much as I can. I played the Ontario M this year, Ontario mid-am, but mostly focusing on senior golf now.
Nice.
Did you teach high school or elementary?
Elementary, so middle school, grade 6, 7, 8 in Toronto.
Okay. What subject?
Phys ed, always on my timetable. Although at elementary, you always have other subjects thrown in over the years, but I was mainly a phys ed teacher.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's perfect for being a golfer. You get the whole summer off.
perfect. Yeah, summertime. And I was always very fortunate. The administrators and superintendents I had in my area were always supportive of me traveling because there was always events in June that I was going to. I was fortunate enough to be selected to teams that traveled to South America a few times. So that I missed school for a week here, a week there, and my administrators and, like I said, superintendents were always very, very good with me traveling to play.
Did the other teachers in the schools get jealous?
No, I don't think so. I think they saw that I wasn't going to play like Jimmy's Bar Scramble and missing school for that. I was traveling around representing Ontario or Canada or doing something. So it wasn't that I was just going away to have a holiday. It was like a holiday to go play golf. But yeah, I was doing this as part of my competitive nature. I also had one of my administrators, principals, was on the national badminton team for a number of years, so he understood what it was to go travel and represent places. So
That's awesome.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Dave, before we get into your golf career highlights, the resume is unbelievable. Growing up as a young Dave Bunker, what were you doing? Like, were you playing hockey at all, or was it just golf, or were you playing kind of all sports?
Yeah, I didn't play a lot of golf actually when I was younger. We have a family cottage north of Toronto that we'd spend our summers at. There was a small 9-hole course there that I'd play, 3 or 4 times a week growing up. So I didn't play a whole lot of golf and junior golf. I played more hockey and school sports when we were back home. And I didn't really start playing competitively until maybe high school or after high school. So I didn't have a junior resume at all from playing when I was younger. More, as I said, more hockey and other school sports that were going on.
So that was my next question, was junior golf, and you kind of just you answered it. But did you ever play college golf?
Yeah, I played for a couple of years at U of T. So
Okay.
I went to the University of Toronto and tried to play hockey there. Didn't really work out too much other than interfaculty stuff. And played a couple of years on the U of T golf team, but mostly I was concentrating on school stuff at that time.
Deadly.
Wicked. When did you start shredding it up in Ontario or locally in Toronto?
Yeah, it was quite a while. My wife and I had our kids fairly young, so I didn't really play a lot while they were growing up. Maybe until they were 11 or 12 or 13, where I could get a little bit of time to go practice. So my first provincial championship was 2003. And that's
First
really when
ever?
it started. Yeah, my first provincial was 2003. So I think I was 36 by then. So good golf didn't really come to me until late when I started to kind of work on my game, work on the aspects that needed improving. And once I started to do that a little bit, then some success came. But it was 2003 was the first time that was the Ontario match play that year.
Wow.
That's so cool. That gives me hope. That's how old I am now. So I
Perfect.
still got a chance.
You're in a perfect position. Just start working it now.
Yeah, I just need to be a teacher so I can play golf all summer.
Yeah.
Dave, so just going off your accolades right now, 3 Canadian Mid-Am championships. Okay. So I just got back from my first ever Mid-Am, and hey, like I had a lot of fun. I made the cut. I was pumped. Good experience. The golf course was unbelievable. So humid there though. I was
You
melting.
played so you were at Thornhill.
I was at
last
Thornhill,
week,
yeah. I just got
Yeah,
back.
and-
Yeah, it was great time.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, you've won this 3 times. So here, a funny story. So I was in the players' lounge eating lunch. I was bored. I played at 7 a.m, so I had 8 hours off. And I was looking at the trophy, and your name is plastered on there. It's almost like they already know you're going to win, so they just put your name on the trophy. Like, I mean, walk us through like just the success early that you had. Because I mean, to win that not once but 3 times, you know, that's huge, man. And congrats. So walk us through kind of just, you know, what it takes to win one of those Mid-Am champs.
Yeah, and actually, if Chris Wasilowicz wasn't around early, I would have won 5 in a row. So
I hope
I was.
he better be listening.
So-
I'm trying to
so
get him
thanks
on.
to him. So 2006 and 2007, I finished second. Really, I had the lead in 2007, and then he just smoked me in the last round and just made up I had 4 shots on him, and he just demolished me on the front 9. And then 2008 at Pheasant Glen in Vancouver Island, I played really well for 4 days and got a victory there. The next year, 2009 at Prince Albert, I was behind. I think I was in 5th or 6th going into the final round and shot a bogey-free 64, which is probably,
Wow.
when I think back on it, probably the best competitive round I've played in that situation. To catch the leader and ended up winning there. And then 2010 in Ottawa, again, I played 4 really, really good days of golf and ended up winning there. So just a nice, you know, it was a nice little string of events, 3 in a row, and 2 of them ended up with exemptions into the Canadian Open, which was fabulous as well. So
sorry, go on, Tori. Go on.
We have a local bias, but is Prince Albert not one of the sneakiest hard courses ever? Like, it's right in front of you. It's short and it's hard.
yeah, you know, I haven't been there since, and it's, you know, that's a long time ago. We had some bad weather. I remember that. So it did play longer than, you know, than the yardage really said. And I just found that the first 2 or 3 days, I was trying to find my way around the golf course and just kind of clicked on the last day where, yeah, you're right, that you can play it well if you hit it in the right spot. But I remember thinking there were some tee shots and some holes where if you got it offline a little bit, you're going to make double like right away.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
a very, very interesting golf course. Yeah.
Wow, Dave, we almost share something so in common. That's where I qualified to get into Mid-Am. Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 12th spot and 2 playoff holes. We're so similar, Dave. I can't wait to
You
share
guys are pretty
this.
much twins.
Yeah, that's probably exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so you just brought up the 2 Canadian Opens after you won 3, so you got in the Canadian Open twice. Walk us through, you know, is that your first ever professional golf tournament both those times?
I played a couple of minor events in Florida just when we were down for vacation or something there. I played 2 or 3 Moonlight Tour events as an amateur.
Okay.
But that's like, they're 1-day events, and it's
Okay,
just
yeah.
guys kind of throw money in and there you go. Yeah, those were pretty special. I tell other Canadian golfers who are sort of striving to get somewhere and play better, like you'll never get a better experience than to play your National Open. And I was very, very lucky to have played it twice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I couldn't imagine like playing in a Canadian national, like pro event though. Like that's the host course or host tournament for, you know, the country. And do you play all 4 rounds both times or just play twice or?
Yeah, so the first year was so 2010 was at St. George's. I played really well, shot 71 and missed by 2.
Oh,
But like I said, I played well. And the second year, it was at Shaughnessy in Vancouver, and it was so tough. I don't know if you remember that year. I think there was only 2 guys that finished the tournament under par, but I couldn't believe how thick the rough was. And you got off the fairway, it's just sandwich back into play. And I think there I was 75, 78 or 76, 78, something like that. So I wasn't even close to making the cut, but both like such great experiences. St. George's was basically in my, that's Toronto. And I grew up in Richmond Hill, which is 20 minutes north of Toronto.
right.
And I'd play St. George's quite a bit, but just to have that Thursday afternoon, we had a Thursday afternoon tee time. And when they announced I teed off on 1, and when they announced my name on the, to tee off, I had so many friends and family there. It was just such
That's
a
awesome.
special feeling and a special environment. Now I bogeyed the first hole, which wasn't great. It was really, really nice to be able to do that.
That's awesome. That's sick.
I missed the question, Dave. When you were talking about your 3 national championships, like what is your mindset when you go to a national? Like, do you think of it as more? Do you practice harder, or do you just play it like it's another round? Like, because obviously you've been very, very successful in them.
Yeah, I guess you have to kind of work on things where you think they're going to be useful at the event. So if I know the golf course and I know, you're going to be hitting a lot of drivers, and I'll make sure my driver game is kind of in shape. If it's a shorter course, then you're going to probably be hitting a lot of wedges. So you work on wedges a little bit before. But I don't really change a lot of what I would do to prepare. Other than those little things. If I don't know the golf course, like when going to Prince Albert, I knew nothing about the golf course. We just went there, we showed up, we played our practice round, and then you figure it out from there. But I tend to, in getting ready to play, once I've seen the golf course in a practice round, or if I've played it before, then I'll kind of plan out the way I want to, ultimately the way I'd like to play the golf course. 90% of the time, it doesn't really work out that way, because you say, oh, I want to be in the right side of this fairway to approach the flag from this side. And it's like, well, sometimes you don't hit it down the right side. You hit it down in the woods, or you hit it down the left, or you're in a trap. But I try and plan out as best as I can. In the first 2 rounds, most of the time, I tend to play fairly conservative, knowing that I don't want to make a big mistake early and just, you make a double or a triple. And it's like, oh man, I just kind of blew it on the first day. The famous saying is you can't win it on the first day, but you can certainly lose it. That's definitely true for sure.
Dude,
So
that's it.
So you're mentally though, mentally going into those, you're not like thinking of them differently than say the Ontario Mid-Am.
No, I approach every tournament the same. The reason I'm playing in it is probably because I think I have an opportunity to win or to be competitive anyway. So I go and I play it that way, and I feel that if I'm going to play, then I've got a chance. So that's nothing really different for a provincial thing or a national thing, or if I'm traveling somewhere.
I love it. Sorry, Drew, for cutting you off there.
No, it's all good. That means I'm doing the right thing then, because like I didn't have a whole lot of time to practice this year. So before I went to PA, because I only hit 3 drivers a day for 3 days.
Yeah.
But my goal was to, hey, let's try and hit the ball for the first 2 weeks prior, playing men's nights or whatever, try and hit it as straight as possible. And then when I got in, the rest of my golf rounds, I was like, I want to try and split the fairway every time I'm hitting a driver, because I knew all my buddies said, "Old Nationals, the rough is tough, or there's woods, or there's bunkers, or whatever." So my goal was to just hit it straight. For 3 out of the 4 days, I hit it really straight. I was happy with it. But yeah, that's good advice though for people that are listening, because those courses are in top shape. That I experienced it once, and I can only imagine that you've been there lots. But it was a wild scene.
And I think the other thing is that a lot of people think you go to even the Canadian Am, I'll use Canadian as an example, or Canadian Mid-Am. Everyone's, a lot of people think, oh, you got to go there. You're going to have to shoot 10, 11, 12 under to have a chance, even just a chance to win, or you got to play great when you're there. No, you just got to not do anything stupid most of the time, or not do anything crazy. Scores are never really as low as everyone kind of predicts that they're going to be. The courses always
Right.
get a little faster, and the rough gets a little longer, and this it's never, the scores are never as low as everybody thinks they are. And even par, you go somewhere and you shoot even par, listen, that's a good score, and that's going to win a lot of the times, or at least put you in a position to win. That people don't think that. They think, oh, I got to go there and I got to be like 5 under after 2 rounds. No, it's never going to. There aren't too many tournaments that are going to be like that. Like unless you're playing the USAM or something like that, then
Yeah.
the scores aren't going to be that low.
My saying is let the other guys fuck up.
Yeah, that's a good saying.
Control what you can control. Dave, 2 US senior opens, I believe. Yeah, and those are, don't mess this up, Drew. Those are pro events, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are
Walk
pro.
us through, just you played in 2 of those events. How was that experience? Where you made the cut, or walk us through the golf?
Yeah, those were 2 fabulous experiences as well. I through the USGA, there's qualifier sites. So I went to, this was 2015 and 2016, right when I turned 50. So I've played when I was 50 and 51. Won my qualifying sites both times. And the first US Senior Open was at Del Paso Country Club in Sacramento. And went there for the week, had a great time, played really well, and made double on my second last hole to miss by 2. But my double, I hit 6 great shots on a par 4. So there's no complaint. I hit 6 really good shots that just didn't work out. And but it was a great experience. Tuesday practice round, I played with Corey Pavin and Scott Simpson, 2 former US Open champions.
Wow.
And on Wednesday, the Wednesday practice round, I played with David Frost and Lauren Roberts, so 2 former Canadian Open champions. So
Wow.
it was a lot of fun to play with those guys and kind of hear what they were talking about, and actually see the way that they approached practice rounds and what they did. I took a lot of that in to just kind of internalize what they do and kind of the things that I was doing, and just kind of modify the way that I now approach practice rounds after I saw these guys do that. And then the second year at Scioto in Columbus, I didn't play quite as well, but Scioto was a fabulous golf course, and I had a great start. So this is a good story for this one. Overall, I didn't play that well, but I had an early tee time Thursday morning. I think my time was like 7:20 or 7:28. And I birdied 3 of my first 5 holes. So I was 3 under through 5, and my name was at the top of the leaderboard. So I have a screenshot and a photo of my name leading the US Senior Open. Of course, it was brief. It was brief, but it's a great little memento to have that, hey, yeah, I was leading the US Senior Open for about 5 minutes.
I love
That
it.
is sick.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? So you played the Senior Open. What about this past year? You got pretty hot in the old Senior Am.
Yeah, so that was last summer. I actually had a great month. I, semi-finalist at the US Senior Am, and then I went to the Senior Porter Cup, finished second there. Canadian Senior, I was 4th. And then I won the Ontario Mid-Am, all within the space of about 5 weeks. I really played well for about a month and a half. And then it kind of wore.
How did you not get burnt
yeah.
out?
A lot of people ask me that say, oh man, you play so much. But if I wasn't playing tournaments, I'd be playing here at home, or doing stuff, traveling, whatever. It doesn't really burn me out. I love playing competitive golf. It's not a mentally taxing activity for me. At least I don't feel it. Maybe a sports psychologist might think differently, but I enjoy playing tournaments. it's not a stressful situation for me. It's not tiring golf. It's fun golf. That's where you find out how good you are. You find out where your game is at. I really love playing tournament and competitive golf.
No, it's funny you say that. I've tried to tell my wife numerous times. I'm like, it's like a drug that I cannot get anywhere else. Like just the feeling of playing tournament golf. You can't get that feeling anywhere else if you're a golfer.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I think it's also a challenge to you. I take a lot of my golf rounds as I'm not really playing anybody else. You play the golf course and you play yourself. You see what you can handle, what shots you're capable of hitting under certain situations. But I find that fun. A lot of people find that very stressful, that the first tee and they announce your name and now you got to hit the ball. Because a lot of people ask me, the Canadian Open, when I was that first tee at St. George's, they weren't you nervous? And then, well, I wasn't really nervous I had a lot of energy and I felt it, but like there's nowhere on the earth that I would have rather have been at that point. So I don't want to be fearful of that. And I think that's what happens to a lot of players. They become fearful of situations like that.
Yeah.
I love it. Sorry, go on, Torrie.
Drew, I'm just on a roll here, buddy.
All good.
Before we go to questions from the gallery, what all is on your in the background on the wall?
Yeah, what's in the background?
I see a lot of Golf Canada flags.
Oh yeah, there's some.
That's only half the room, though.
I know. That's only half the room.
That is so cool.
Yeah, hey. Golf Canada is good. They send out these big frame photos if you finish in the top 3. So I'm fortunate enough to have every once in a while gotten lucky and finished in the top 3. So
yeah, well, cool. I got a T marker with my name on it, Dave. It says my full name and handwritten, and it says Golf Canada. Pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
You got more than that. You got a hat, and I know you got a putter head cover. So
yes, I got that stuff. But the T marker is the coolest thing, though. I think it's pretty sweet. I felt like a professional golfer that day when I walked out to the range. Dave, you mentioned you didn't play a whole lot when you were younger, but I do want to know when. I just 2 questions. One, when did you start to really figure it out and go, hey, I'm pretty good at this game and I can do it for a long time and start to be successful? And 2, who would you give some credit to, or you look back on and say, hey, I appreciate all the help?
Yeah, so I had played, like I said, I played at U of T for a couple of years, but I could shoot 85 one day or 75 the next, or 72 and then 79. It was very inconsistent. I went to a couple of qualifiers, USGA qualifiers and Ontario Am qualifiers, sort of through the mid 90s. And I was actually on my way back with another buddy from a qualifier that we went to in Michigan. And on the way back, we both were terrible. We were not even close to making it. And we sort of critiqued each other's games and what we needed to do. And just sort of, hey, I noticed this, I noticed that. And it became evident that I needed to make some changes in my grip and my swing. So I got connected with a swing coach, and he's been my swing coach since then. And we worked together on, a little bit of a grip change, a little bit of a swing plane change. And then as those sort of things work through my golf game, that there's small improvements. And then we talked about it earlier, about that 2003 winning the match play. At the match play is almost, it's match play for me is a really, really fun way to play. I actually think that golf should only be played at match play because it's too hard. Golf is such a hard game. And in match play, you play a bad hole, it's only 1 point. You lose 1 point to your opponent.
Right.
And playing that match play was an eye-opener for me because I felt like I wasn't playing all that great, but I kept on winning matches by just doing the right thing and making good decisions. And when the week was over and I'd ended up winning, it was kind of like, hey, like I can do this, it's there. And that kind of gives you a little bit of momentum to practice more and work on things a little more.
Right.
I have one question, one more. Do you have a place in Florida? Because I saw that you won the Florida State Senior Am.
Yeah, so we spend the winters in Venice, and we have a membership at a club there. And we rent, we don't own there. But you
Okay.
can, through our club there, we're members of the Florida State Golf Association, so I can play Florida events. I played the senior the last 2 years. I've played, they call it the senior junior, but it's really a senior mid-am better ball event. And there's some other things you can play in as a club member there. You don't have to be a resident of Florida. For some of their events, you do have to be a resident, but for the senior stuff, it's no, you can. If
Is
you're a
that
member of the
near,
club, then you can do it.
is that near Fort Myers?
It's north of Fort Myers. So Venice is kind of south Sarasota.
Okay. Gotcha.
And to go back to your question, Drew, about who I'd like to give a shout out to
Yeah.
and recognition to. So that swing coach was Fred Davey. He was at Summit at the time because I was from Richmond Hill. He's now in Barrie and working his way towards retirement. So he deserves a lot of that credit. As far as my swing goes. And then I do see a mental coach for some certain aspects of managing sort of vision and how to approach practicing and working through issues that might come up that aren't really swing related, but mental related. And that's Paul Doolan, who he's in Florida and works with a lot of professional golfers down there and amateurs as well. But both those guys have been huge helps for me over the years for kind of getting to where I am.
Awesome. Well, whatever you're doing, don't quit it. Dave, one more I want to talk about, and then we're going to go to our segment called Questions from the Gallery. But you were inducted into the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame in 2018. We've had a lot of Hall of Famers on. Yeah, we've had quite a few, I guess. But you especially, you know, we love this question is, you know, what does that mean to you and maybe your family? You know, you've done so much for not only yourself, but the game. And, you know, like I said, I saw your name on that trophy everywhere and I was like, I want to be like this guy. So walk us through, you know, 2018 being inducted and, you know, what it means to you and your family.
Yeah, it was great. I kind of figured at some point it was going to happen, but I didn't know when. And I got a call from Mike Kelly with Golf Ontario, and he explained to me that I was going to be inducted in the spring. He called me in the fall, and yeah, great to be recognized for that. It's the other players from Ontario that are on that wall of fame are just, you know, there's some incredible players, Gary Cowan and I can't even think of all the ones that are Stu Hamilton, Mike Weir, Marianne Hayward. I was inducted with Terrell Samuel, who just won the RNA Senior Am, and you know, there's so many great names and great players, and on that list that to put my name up there as well. It was such an honor to have that, and one of the great things about that day was my parents were still alive. They had just recently passed away, but it was great for my parents to see that happen. And, you know, I have 2 daughters that it was great for them, and my wife, and I have sisters and their families. It was just really, really nice to have my parents still around when that happened. And just to, again, like I said, to have my name up beside all those other, you know, in my opinion, greater golfers than I am, but I know when you see resumes, you compare them and go, hey, you're just as good as they are, you win just as much. But when you look up and see who's there and who's in that hall, it's fabulous.
That's so cool. Your daughters got to see.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
Because like I suck now, and I have to tell my daughters I used to be good, but now I'm
I used to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, Dave, and congrats again.
Yeah,
okay. Let's go to our segment called Questions from the Gallery, sponsored by Rubber Co. Rubber Co was founded in 2021, made out of 100% recycled tires, and has tons to offer. We offer rubber parking blocks, speed bumps, gym flooring, matting, and now our new hockey devices. Check out the website at www.rubberco.com, or can follow us on social media at rubber.co, and can call as well, 306-541-9840. Dave and everyone else out there listening, think with your head and choose the right rubber. Oh, how good was that ad read? I'm on fire today.
That was pretty smooth. Last week's was better.
Appreciate it. All right, I got the first one here. Dave, favorite boy band?
Favorite boy band? The Beatles.
Oh,
Oh, solid.
if
Perfect.
that counts as a boy band.
Absolutely.
I'm going totally pretty much. Actually, I'm going to ask one golf question, then the rest are not golf. Give me your top 3 favorite courses that you've played.
Ooh,
Good question.
just come back from number 1. Royal Dornoch. I played the RNA senior in the beginning of July. Oh man, what a golf course that is. That's going to be my number 1 now.
You've got some
Pinehurst-
frequent flyer miles going here, bud.
Yeah. Well, I leave for Red Deer in 4 days, and then I'm in
right.
California later on in October. It's like we're flying everywhere. So Dornoch is number 1 now. Pinehurst number 2 is probably number 2, and I love the National in Toronto. So I have to say the National is probably those would be
Wow.
my top moment.
That's sick.
You've probably got 10 that like could all compete with top 3.
Yeah, I play Pine Valley, and that's, it's hard for me not to put that in the top 3, but I got to put a Canadian course in. So.
There we go. I like it. I thought you were going to say Riverside, but that's okay. I'm going to let it slide.
Yeah.
Dave, lowest round in a tournament and also not in a tournament.
Lowest round in the tournament, 64. So that's 64 we talked about in Prince Albert. Lowest number, so I don't know how many that was under par. I think they played that
72.
that week as a set.
No, probably par 70 there.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it might have been a 71 or a 70, but
Yeesh.
64, that's a good number. Lowest score ever, 62.
Sweet. All right. Okay, I got one more golf one. Who were you scared to play against? I know you brought up Wasilowicz coming from behind, but
I wouldn't say I'm scared to play anybody. I actually love playing with bombers, and that's why it was so fun playing with Wasilowicz. In that kind of 2-year span when he was still playing amateur golf there, the mid-am stuff, and I've played a lot with Garrett Rank, and I love watching guys that hit it far, and it doesn't intimidate me. I just find it fascinating how far some guys can hit it. And like I said, I don't think I'm afraid to play anybody. It's just I enjoy playing with young guys who can bomb it. I like playing with everybody, but that's one of my special sort of fetishes, if you want to call it, that I like seeing. I like seeing the ball go a long way.
nothing wrong with a golf fetish. No, I just wasn't sure if there was some guy in Ontario that we don't know about that you're kind of like, oh shit, here we go. It's gonna be a long day.
He's that guy. So
Well, I know
he's
he's the boogeyman.
I would say right now, if you want to name, Garrett's probably one of the best players in Canada at the moment. And Fitzsimmons, who just won the Mid-Am,
2-time, right?
he's really playing well right now. So if those were 2 guys that where they were in a match play event, I don't think I'd want to play them in the first round. I'd rather work my way to the final somehow and play one of them. Maybe they play each other on the other side of the draw, and then I get to the final that way. But I don't think I'd want to play those guys for money, for sure.
I love it.
Dave, this is a doubleheader question. Hot dog or burger?
Burger.
Ketchup or mustard?
Ketchup.
All right. Favorite beverage
Dave, I
after
love
a
you.
round?
Well, I don't drink any alcohol, so unfortunately, all those beer drinkers out there, I'm going to disappoint you.
That's okay.
So at Cherry Hill, where we play here, they have the greatest milkshakes maybe on the planet.
Oh, boy.
And they have what's called a Logan. They have what's called a Loganberry milkshake, and it is fabulous. So that's right now my go-to post-round drink is this Loganberry milkshake at Cherry
Have you
Hill
played-
when we finish playing.
Yes.
Have you played Muirfield in Ohio?
No, have not.
Okay, because word on the street is they got the best milkshakes going.
I don't know, but well, they might, but until I go there and find out whether it's true or not.
All right.
I actually, for the milkshakes they have at Cherry Hill, they're so thick. I actually went to the dollar store and bought my own straw, like an extra thick straw, to be able to drink these milkshakes. So I have this steel straw in my golf bag for post round. I can drink
That
the
is
milkshake because they give you these little tiny, the little plastic straws. Like you can't drink a milkshake with that little tiny straw. You suck your cheeks in. So I had to go buy my own straw for these milkshakes.
that's perfect.
unbelievable.
Perfect after you get your wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah.
Okay. If you got to pick one food to eat for a week, what is it?
Peanut butter.
Really?
That's
Just
quick,
straight
yeah,
peanut butter.
quick. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a peanut butter fiend.
Oh my goodness. I'm
Most
allergic.
mornings, peanut
I'm
butter
jealous.
and peanut butter on toast most days. And my go-to snack always usually involves some kind of peanut butter on a cracker or something.
I love it.
Okay, well, Tori hates this question, but I love it. How many hole ones do you have?
One
Okay.
on a par 4.
On a par 4.
Yeah.
What a delivery. Hole one. I was like, that's shitty. He's like,
Yeah.
on a par 4.
On number 11, anybody listening or watching who is from Toronto, it's number 11 at Don Valley, which is like a kind of shorter dogleg right. And we were playing one night after school and I bombed one over the trees and we were looking forever, get to the green. I said, that's pretty good. That's going to be on or near the green. We look around. I just throw another ball down, chip it up. And then one of the guys walked up to the hole and goes, hey, your ball's in the hole. So I don't even actually know if it went in without some kid maybe running from the bushes and throwing it in the hole, but there was no one else around. So I'm taking it as my hole in one.
Absolutely.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not bragging on myself. I've got 4, and my first 3, I didn't see any of them go in. That's so frustrating to not see them go in.
My
yeah,
wife has
sucks having
3.
Oh,
So
jeez.
she's killing me in that category. Every time I play a par 3, I'm trying to make a hole in one just so I can try and catch her.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
I think you should just go to par 3 courses.
That's a good idea, actually.
Dave,
Okay,
sorry, Tori, my last one here. What's your go-to shot?
I try and play the ball as straight as possible. So high and straight is what I really want to play most of the time.
I love it. I wish.
Yeah.
okay,
Well, so
I've
do I
got 2
most of
more.
the time.
These are easy, quick ones. What's your go-to TV series,
Ooh.
or especially during COVID?
Yeah, COVID. So we watched a lot of like Netflix series. So I got hooked on Bosch. We watched this show called Bosch, and it's great. We're waiting for the next season to come out. But go-to TV show, I don't really watch a lot of TV shows. I'll flick around from one thing to another. I could say Seinfeld. We watched Seinfeld when it was on all the time. But that's all old school stuff. I don't really watch TV or mostly sports. Watch football, hockey. If that's on, that's kind of
You follow
what I stick
college?
with. College football a little bit, which starts this Saturday. I think is this weekend is I think opening season.
I'm watching it right as we speak.
Well, who's playing now?
Purdue and Penn State.
Oh, so that must be the first game of the year then.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, my other
No.
question, what's your favorite vacation spot you've gone to? Golf or non-golf, it doesn't matter.
Golf or non-golf, yeah. Well, I've been over a number of times to Scotland to play, most of the times to play an event or to try and qualify for an event. We love it. Both my wife and I love it over there. I love playing links golf. I love the seaside. I love just the way those courses just kind of disappear and reappear in the dunes and around the shore and off of cliffs and around corners. So I put that in the golf category. Favorite other vacation, we spent a couple of weeks in Italy a few years ago, and we're actually going back in 3 weeks for a week. We had a great time in Italy. I think the food was fabulous, and my wife's Italian, so it's nice to have a translator with you all the time.
That's awesome.
Dave, my last question of the podcast, and it's going to be a good one for you and for everyone that listens right now. A piece of advice for a young listener, whether it's a junior golfer, boy or girl, maybe an amateur golfer or mid-amateur golfer, just some advice, on what it takes to make it, be successful, get to nationals, maybe win a national event. Just some advice that you have that you've learned in your golf career.
Sure. I'd separate it out. For mid-ams and ams who, want to get better, it's always practice your weakness, find out where you're weak and work on that. You also want to practice your, what you're good at, but it's where your weakness is it's going to get exposed in a tournament. It always happens that if you're struggling in the trap or out of the sand, it never fails that if you're playing an event, you're going to be in the sand like all day long. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And for young kids, and I have mentored a couple of young kids over the years, and the one thing you have to tell them is you are not your score. Your score is not who you are. And if the first thing somebody asks you when you finish playing one day is, what'd you shoot? Basically, they're putting that number on you.
Right.
And whether you shoot 75 or you shoot 85 or you shoot 68, you're not a different person. And I tell that to parents too, that never ask your child when they come off the golf course what they shot. Maybe ask them, hey, I saw you on the putting green the other day. How'd your putting go today? Or what'd you work on today? Or how did your shots go? Or how did you play this? Or, who'd you play with? But if you start asking them their number, then I think that's the worst thing for kids to have is to be identified by the number they shoot. And you get then kids thinking, well, if I shoot 75, that's pretty good. If I shoot 81, they're going to be disappointed in me. You
Right.
Can't have junior golfers thinking that way. I don't think it's right to have that. So I tell them all the time, you are not the number you shoot. You're not. You can't be that number. You're who you are, and sometimes you're gonna play okay, and sometimes it's not gonna. Golf is very frustrating. I think kids sometimes don't get that. As adults, we know that we've been in the ups and downs of the golf world, but
right.
I think it's almost like a hockey parent asking their kid when they come home, how many goals did you score today? It's almost the same thing. Like you're putting value on a result rather than value into what they're learning and what they've been working on, and whether there were small little successes and what they've been practicing. So that's kind of what it's two different answers, but it's for two different age groups, kids versus adults. Adults really need to work on their weaknesses, find out what you're weak at.
It's so cool hearing that coming from you, like as a teacher, because you basically spent your career as not a child psychologist, but learning the psychology of children.
Yeah, but it is.
But it makes total sense.
Yeah, for sure, because a lot of times in school, kids get identified by their grades, where that's a very tiny, small aspect of who they are. There's all kinds of other things that they're either not good at or good at based on who they are and what they do and what kind of personality they have. And if you judge somebody, a child in particular, for sure, a young person, on a number that they either got on a math test or that they shot in a basketball game, how many free throws they made or how many points they scored, or on the golf course what their number was when they finished. That's really devaluing who they really are and not valuing, like I said, the effort that they might be putting in or the work that they might be putting in to try and make themselves better at what they're trying to do.
Wow, well said.
Yeah.
Great answers. Dave, appreciate this again, man. I had so much fun today. I wish you nothing but the best up in Red Deer. I believe you said next week is the
Red Deer next week is
Nationals.
the Canadian Senior. Yeah, Canadian Senior.
Kick Phelps in the balls when you see him.
Yeah, good luck. We appreciate
Yeah.
it today, Dave. It's been a lot of fun.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Drew and Torrie, for having me. That was great.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.